Hi everyone, it's Dr. Kamari Valentine here, and I am recording from my parents' dining room table. Here's the 1-minute version of what I'll be talking about today. I'm talking about finding our voice and talking in quite a literal fashion about something that encompasses so many other topics. We can look at this from the angle of authenticity, or even how to relax, or issues of confidence or imposter syndrome. We could also look at mindset. Today, however, I'm talking about 5 bottom-up or body strategies for tuning into our voice and helping our voice move more easily. Helping our voice move with more grace. And those 5 strategies are humming, using the kind hands technique, breathing, using the triple warmer smoothie, and lastly, singing. And I'll be talking about those in just a moment. Okay, so here's the longer than 1-minute version. Rather ironically, I'm talking about this topic while recovering from quite a bad cold, which I have thanks to having children who spread disease. So very keen to hear from any parents about ways that they fend off the germs from their children. I am really happy to be answering a question I was asked. So if you have questions that you think I can answer or that you'd love to hear about, please let me know. I would absolutely love to make a podcast answering your question. Today, I'm focusing on finding our voice and being authentic in the world. And I'm doing this very literally, as I said, by looking at our voice, our breath vibrating in our throats. For many of us, it was not safe to speak up or to speak out. There might have been rules around speaking, for example, like children should be seen, not heard, that girls, for example, don't speak in a certain way, that it's unfeminine to raise your voice, that people won't like you if you say what you truly feel, that it's important to save face, and so on. Bessel van der Kolk, who is phenomenal in the area of trauma, says, as his book title captures, the body keeps the score. And traces of these stories that we carry may remain in parts of our body, including our throat. I think it is with good reason that we say we get a lump in our throat. And this might signal not just an immediate anxiety, an immediate feeling, perhaps it does, but it might also carry with it the ripples of previous stories or experiences that we've had from childhood. So, how do we go about freeing and finding our voice? Here are 5 suggestions that I have based on my clinical work. The first is humming. So this is a strategy that comes from Bessel van der Kolk himself. And humming, especially a deep vibration that you can really hear in your throat, like and expanding that, really noticing that in your throat, bringing your attention to it, is one way that you play around with your throat and give it freedom to move. In a similar way, you might have grown up with rules about singing, that perhaps it's not okay for you to sing, or that you don't have a certain type of voice. And so singing can actually be a really lovely way, whether you're singing by yourself or singing in public, singing in the car while driving. Singing might be a really lovely way to let your voice take on shapes and forms that it might not be used to, giving it some flexibility. I recall that one of my dear clients started singing as a really wonderful, flexible way of doing something different, something they'd hoped to. And this was a way out of depression for this client. Another strategy is what I call the kind hands technique. Typically, when we do this, we hold our hands out, really bringing our conscious attention to our hands. Noticing our hands perhaps becoming warm with kindness. Imagine that kindness is sitting in our hands, right? Like we can feel the weight and warmth of that kindness. And I generally say, put your hands then on a body part that needs that kindness. And in this case, we're talking about your throat. So let your kind hands sit on your throat, transferring the heat, the warmth, and also that kindness, communicating the message that it is okay, it is safe now for your voice to be heard. Yet another strategy is breathing diaphragmatically. So for many of us, we breathe shallowly. We breathe from the top third of our lungs. And when we do this, especially habitually, the muscles in our neck, in our throat, in our jaw are very tight. And a feedback loop gets created where, because they're so tense and tight, it's painful to take a breath. And we need to loosen and soften our breath. So by breathing more gently, and for that matter, relaxing the muscles of our throat, more breath comes into our lungs and more breath fuels our voice. Our voice sounds stronger, right? Our voice comes from within us. It's not tight and light and fragile or brittle. The final strategy I have for you is from energy psychology, and it's called the triple warmer smoothie. And for this variation, I'm going to introduce a little bit extra, focusing on the voice. So to do the triple warmer smoothie, what we do is we tap our forehead, bringing our attention there to our forehead, then tracing gently behind our ears, so around our ears, gently smoothing and rubbing down our throat. And this is where I want you to pay particular attention, giving warmth and kindness into your throat, pressing down on your shoulders, then crossing your hands over at your heart and pressing into your heart and taking a deep breath in. Now I can hear that my wee baby has woken, so I will need to run, but it was so good to connect with you. Let me know what you think of this episode. Take care and talk soon.